Welcome to Confessions of a Terrible Leader, where real leaders share the raw truth about the lessons they learned the hard way so you don't have to. Join our host, Layci Nelson, founder of Transcend Leadership Collective and former terrible leader. Every leader can become worthy of being followed if they are willing to put in the work. On this podcast, we share the messy stories and behind-the-scenes reality of what the work actually entails. We welcome you to this community of revolutionary leaders who believe honest communication, healthy conflict, and building cultures of acceptance, respect, and trust are not only possible, but non-negotiable for cultivating world-class teams.
Hello. Welcome back to Confessions of a Terrible Leader. Layci Nelson, former terrible leader, your host here today. And it is the Friday before holiday weekend. And I am probably a little bit too excited about what we're doing this weekend. We are going to be purging our house of stuff. We have lived here for almost 12 years in our home we're in now, longest that we've ever been in one house, and we don't have any plans of going anywhere anytime soon. It's amazing how much crap can accumulate in that amount of time. So we are going through all of the things this weekend and making many a run to donation centers and many runs to the dump. And I'm like ridiculously excited about it. So anyways, my husband likes to keep things. So getting Nick on board with this and him being just as excited to get rid of stuff as I am, it's like a major win. I'll let you all know how it goes. And if I get rid of as much as I'm hoping to. So anyways, welcome. What I want to talk about today with all of you, I want to touch on how my understanding of failure has shifted over the years and of failing at things in business and in leading people. So when I first started leading people, I was terrified to fail. Like failure meant I just wasn't doing my job. Imposter syndrome would creep in majorly. It was just failure was viewed as evidence that I didn't know what I was doing and had no business trying to lead these efforts that I was trying to lead. Now, interestingly enough, the reason that I would view failure, any kind of failure, as just evidence that I wasn't up for the job, I was operating off of a lot of fear of failure, fear of being quote unquote found out. And if our outcomes didn't look how they were supposed to look, if I had even a team member that was really acting bananas or toxic, this is a whole nother episode that I'm going to record at some point, but I would internalize that as an evidence that I was failing as a leader. And that failure was evidence I didn't know what I was doing. And I couldn't handle it healthfully. It definitely contributed to burnout, that perfectionist drive. Thankfully, I don't live in that space anymore. And that's not a sustainable way to live. And it's certainly not a way to become any kind of successful entrepreneur. So as I've stepped into the entrepreneurial space, becoming a business owner, I laugh and tell people, what do I do on the side for fun? Oh, I light money on fire, because I have made so many mistakes. We are talking like easily 5 figures worth plus of mistakes, and spending money on things in the wrong order, spending money on investing in people, paying wages for people that were not the right people in the right seats, paying for marketing that we just weren't ready for, but I didn't know it at the time, paying for things that I thought were going to make this big impact and they didn't within the organization. But I don't consider those things failures anymore. I don't consider the failures evidence of me not knowing what I'm doing and being this terrible leader. The failures that I'm making now are evidence that I'm willing to try and that I can learn. And that I also am willing to understand that Business ownership and leading teams, even if you're not a business owner but you're leading a team, when you're committed to doing it well, you're going to try stuff that doesn't work. And that's where a lot of people, they decide they hit that wall one time and they're like, well, I'm not ever going to try anything like this again. I'm not going to look at the data and tweak it and figure out what went wrong. I'm just going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Or they're saying, oh, this is evidence that I was not meant for this. This is no good. I'm terrible. The world is burning. This is awful. Really, what failure is evidence that we are learning, because hopefully we're making different mistakes, although I have had to make a couple times before that lesson hit. And it is evidence that we are learners and creators, and you're never going to hit a place where you can not have to change something in your business for years, because you're going to go backwards. The world is changing too fast. Technology is changing too fast. People's expectations are changing. We are constantly in a state of having to experiment. Again, whether it be with the way that we're leading or with the decisions we're making about where we're investing our time and our money and our resources, who we're bringing onto the team, we need to recognize that there's a lot of ways to be mindful, thoughtful, and smart about these things. Definitely not saying be careless, be reckless. But I am saying sometimes with the best, most diligent amount of homework, you've done your due diligence, you really think you're making the right call, and it turns out completely not how you planned and is expensive, whether it's time, money, those things are definitely resources, ego, and you don't do what you thought was gonna be accomplished. Something in what you were trying to do didn't turn out the right way. You got to stop taking that as evidence that you don't know what you're doing and letting that failure tell you that you shouldn't be doing this, or that why am I trying anyway? Instead, realizing that this is part of business and life and leadership. You're going to try things that don't work. You're going to spend money on things that don't work. You're going to bring people onto the team that you either put in the wrong seat or maybe weren't the right fit, and you're going to learn from it. So I want you to acknowledge that failure is just a part of business. It's a part of leadership. It's a part of the process. And the sooner you can make that paradigm shift as failure being an evidence that you are a failure, that is a lie, to failure being evidence that you are a leader and a learner who's experimenting, figuring out what works and what doesn't, willing to take risks. Soon as you can flip that, man, does it take a load off. I feel so much lighter now. I don't fear mistakes like I used to because I stopped letting my mistakes be evidence to define my worth. Instead, my mistakes are evidence, like I said, that I'm a leader, I'm a learner, we're doing this thing, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm not giving up. That's what it's evidence of. So, all that said, take from it what you will, apply what you need. Hopefully it shifts your understanding of failure a little bit and how what it actually is evidence of. And it makes your leadership journey a little bit more enjoyable. All right, until next time, friends, go manage like a leader.
Thanks for being part of this community of revolutionary leaders who believe honest communication, healthy conflict, and building cultures of acceptance, respect, and trust are not only possible, but non-negotiable for cultivating world-class teams. If one-to-one coaching, engaging workshops, or strategic planning that is actually useful are anything that interests you, make sure to head over to www.transcendleadershipcollective.com to check out our free resources. Confessions of a Terrible Leader is hosted by Layci Nelson and produced by Mary Scott. Music is by Leif Olson and Mary Scott from the band The Number of Months. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, go manage like a leader.